The silence was the loudest thing in the room. It was a presence, thick and suffocating, settling into every corner and crevice, making the air feel heavy and unmoving. For Leo, it was the sound of an ending, a door slamming shut on a life he'd built, brick by painful brick. The echo of that finality seemed to reverberate through his bones, a reminder that some chapters close without warning. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the wall, the blank beige mocking him. He had lost everything. The room felt smaller now, as if the walls themselves were closing in, reflecting his sense of defeat. The news had come in a cold, clinical phone call. The project has been terminated. We're sorry. The words were delivered with such detachment, as if a decade of dreams could be erased in a single breath. 10 years of passion, gone in a moment. All the late nights, the sacrifices, the hope, reduced to a pile of discarded blueprints and unanswered questions. Now, his apartment was haunted by the ghosts of late-night brainstorms and blueprints, echoes of laughter that felt like they belonged to someone else. The remnants of his work lingered, reminders of a life that had slipped through his fingers. Outside, Boston pulsed with life, indifferent to his collapse. The city moved on, oblivious to the quiet unraveling happening behind closed doors. But inside, time had stopped. The world beyond his window felt distant, unreachable, as if he were trapped in a moment that refused to pass. He thought of his father's words, "You build things to last, son." The memory stung, a bittersweet echo of hope and expectation. Leo had tried, but his tower of ambition had crumbled, not from a storm, but from a quiet, insidious shift. The foundation had eroded slowly until there was nothing left to hold it up. The silence pressed in, filled with the weight of what could have been. In that stillness, Leo wondered if he would ever find the strength to begin again. Leo grew up in a small town where the sky seemed endless, but the dreams of those around him rarely reached beyond the horizon. The fields stretched for miles, and every evening the sun dipped low, painting the world in gold. Leo would watch, wondering what lay beyond those glowing clouds, his heart restless for something more. His father, a carpenter, taught him patience and the value of building something solid with your own two hands. In the quiet of the workshop, Leo learned to shape wood, to measure twice and cut once, and to take pride in every detail. But Leo wanted to build with ideas, to create things that couldn't be held, but could change lives. He spent hours lost in thought, sketching dreams in the margins of his notebooks. He was the first in his family to go to college, stepping onto campus with a mix of pride and nerves, determined to study software engineering and make his mark. For him, code was just lumber. His real passion was designing systems that connected people, building bridges in the digital world. He saw every line of code as a piece of a larger puzzle. He dreamed up Helios, a software company named for the sun god, a beacon of innovation and hope. The idea was to bring light to communities, to spark change through technology. After graduation, he skipped the safe job and started Helios in a cramped garage, surrounded by old tools and borrowed furniture, fueled by ambition and caffeine. The early years were a blur of ramen, sleepless nights and small miracles, moments when a bug was fixed or a new feature finally worked. Every setback was met with stubborn hope. His team became family, united by a shared dream and the belief that together they could build something that mattered. Their breakthrough came in year 5, a platform connecting volunteers to community projects. Investors arrived, recognizing the spark in their eyes and the potential in their work. The garage became a glass-walled office, and Helios soared, sunlight streaming through every window as the company grew. Leo felt invincible, certain he'd built something to last, a legacy that would shine for years to come. He believed in the light he'd created, and in the power of chasing the sun, no matter how far it seemed. The fall was swift. The company's collapse shattered Leo's world into sharp fragments, each reflecting a different failure. He saw the disappointed faces of his team, the family he'd led into ruin. Guilt ached in his chest. He'd failed not just himself, but everyone who believed in him. His relationships frayed. Clara, his girlfriend, tried to reach him, but he built a wall of shame and silence. Calls from his parents went unanswered. He couldn't face his father's disappointment. He became an island, adrift in regret. Self-doubt whispered, "You were never good enough. It was all a fluke." He replayed every decision, searching for the moment it all went wrong. The confidence that once propelled him was gone, replaced by a hollow void. He wasn't just a failure, he became failure itself. The identity was complete. Days blurred into weeks. Leo's apartment became his prison. Remnants of Helios, mugs, photos, business cards, pulled him deeper into despair. He lost his routine, slept at odd hours, ate whatever was easiest or not at all. The vibrant man who built a company was gone, replaced by a hollow shell. One afternoon, he barely recognized himself in the mirror, a stranger who had given up. This was his lowest point. That night, he found his father's old toolbox. The weight of the hammer in his hand felt real, grounding. He remembered the satisfaction of building something tangible. The turning point was quiet, a whisper from the past. Holding the hammer, Leo fixed a wobbly bookshelf he'd ignored for weeks. The sharp sound of the hammer was the first productive noise he'd made in months. He had fixed something, however small. The next day, he looked for other things to repair: a dripping faucet, a squeaky hinge, a loose tile. Each task was a small battle, pushing doubts to the background. He was working with his hands, bringing order to chaos. He wasn't building a new life, just repairing the one he had, piece by piece. A week later, he visited a lumber yard, the scent of pine transporting him back to his father's workshop. He bought planks of wood, no project in mind, just the need to create. Back home, he ran his hand over the grain, feeling its honest reality. He wasn't chasing the sun anymore. He was holding a piece of the earth. With the pine planks, Leo built a simple birdhouse. No blueprints, just a rough sketch and his father's mantra: measure twice, cut once. The work was slow, deliberate, and absorbing. His first attempt was clumsy, the birdhouse crooked and rustic. But he saw the effort, the learning, the act of creation. He placed it on his windowsill, a small trophy of his first step back. One project led to another, a spice rack, bookends, each more ambitious. Mistakes became lessons, not defeats. The woodworking gave his days structure and purpose. He started sleeping better, cooking real meals. One afternoon, a neighbor asked for a birdhouse. He agreed, and the small payment felt more valuable than any investor check. It was a direct exchange skill for appreciation. The neighbor's request sparked an idea. Leo started a small online shop, Sawdust and Soul. He posted photos of his handcrafted items, writing honest descriptions. He didn't expect much, it was more therapy than business. But orders trickled in, and people valued the authenticity of his work. Each piece told a story. He loved the process and the connection with customers. One day, a community center asked him to teach woodworking to at-risk youth. The thought terrified him, but he remembered how working with his hands had helped him heal. He said yes. The first class was nerve-wracking, but he was patient. By the end, a tough kid held up a lopsided box with pride. Leo felt a deeper sense of purpose than ever before. Leo's life found a new, quieter rhythm. His days blended solitary work with lively classes at the community center. Sawdust and Soul was small, but fulfilling. He traded boardrooms for a dusty workshop, frantic meetings for the steady rhythm of a handplane. He reconnected with his parents, sharing stories of wood and craft. His father visited, running a calloused hand over Leo's work, smiling, "This is good work, son. This will last." Leo met Clara for coffee. They were different people, but the friendship remained. He looked at his hands, scarred, calloused, the hands of a maker. Each scar was a lesson, a mistake overcome. Even Helios's failure was a scar, but no longer a mark of shame. It was part of his story, the deep cut that allowed a new life to grow. He was no longer chasing the sun, but planting trees for others. 10 years have passed since Helios collapsed. The world has changed in subtle ways, and so has Leo. The echoes of that downfall still linger in the quiet corners of his memory, shaping the man he has become. The memory is a faded scar, woven into the tapestry of his life. It's a reminder of what was lost, but also of what was found in the aftermath. Leo still runs Sawdust and Soul, his workshop now larger and brighter than ever before. The space is filled with laughter, the scent of fresh wood, and the quiet hum of creation. His classes have become a beloved local program, drawing people from all walks of life. Former students now return to teach others, passing on the skills and lessons they learned. His life is smaller, quieter, and infinitely more meaningful. In the stillness of early mornings, he finds a sense of peace he never knew before. He learned that failure isn't an endpoint, but a doorway to something new. Each setback became a lesson, each mistake a stepping stone. It strips away what you thought you were, leaving what you truly are. In the dust and shavings, he discovered his real strength. The most profound lesson he learned: you build things to last, not by making them unbreakable, but by learning to mend. True craftsmanship is in the repair, not the perfection. Like Kintsugi, the art of repairing with gold, his life's cracks are filled with humility and purpose. The breaks are not hidden, but celebrated as part of his story. His story is one of resilience, a reminder that our lowest points can be the foundation for our strongest selves. Every rebuilt piece is stronger for having been broken. We are all builders, and sometimes our structures will crumble. It is inevitable, and it is human. The measure of a life is not in the fall, but in the courage to build again. Each time we rise, we shape something new from the pieces, something truer, something that will last. In the end, it is the act of rebuilding that defines us.